All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Belvedere City Council Committee of the Whole of May 11th, 2026. If the clerk will help me with the roll call, please.
Albertini?
Here.
Brereton?
Here.
Flurry? Flurry absent. Frank?
Here.
Gramkowski?
Here.
Hoynes?
Here.
McKee?
Here.
Montalbano?
Here.
Peterson?
Here.
Stevens?
Here.
9 present.
Okay, thank you. We don't have anybody registered for public comment. Do you have anything to say? Okay, I guess not. Under public forum, item A, National Police Week proclamation. One of the things that I've always felt was very, very important in any community, but the city of Belvedere for certain is our law enforcement, our police officers, and our police department. We're fortunate that we have Police Chief Woody and the rank and file accordingly, that they enforce the laws here in Belvedere and they provide a safe community. And without it, I've always said, you have nothing, you have chaos. So with that being said, Chief Woody, would you join me up here, please? So I have a proclamation that I want to read, and we do this each year, and it's National Police Week. I'll read it. Whereas National Police Week in America was created to honor and recognize the sacrifice and contributions made by police officers in communities both large and small, and whereas National Police Week, held every year in May, was created in 1962 through a proclamation issued by then President John F. Kennedy. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of their police department, and that members of our police department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence or disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation. And whereas the police department of the city of Belvedere has grown to be a modern and scientific law enforcement agency which unceasingly provides a vital public service, and now therefore I, Mayor of the city of Belvedere, call upon all the citizens of Belvedere and upon all the patriotic civil and educational organizations to recognize the week of May 10th through May 16th as National Police Week, in which all of our people may commemorate police officers, both past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in doing so have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of Belvedere to be affixed this 11th day of May 2026 for National Police Week. And Chief, I want to thank you again. You provide great leadership, a great example, and great professionalism in leading our Belvedere Police Department to make sure that our citizens are safe and that our community is safe. So I appreciate it, and thank you very much for all you do. Thank you. Please.
Thank you for those kind words, Mayor. I accept this on behalf of the Belvedere Police Department. And our department appreciates the support of you, Mr. Mayor, and the City Council. And I think it's important to acknowledge that this is a symbol of the honor that we have to show those who paid the ultimate price in the line of duty. But I think it's equally important to remember those who serve our communities every day and pray So that way, hopefully one day we're not honoring them this week. So once again, thank you very much.
Turning the page, reports of officers, boards, and special committees. Building, planning, zoning, unfinished business, we have none. Item 2, building, planning, zoning, new business. Item A, building department update. Mr. Countryman, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. For the month of April, we registered 15 electrical registrations, 176 building permits for a value of construction of around $3.3 million. 166 of those were residential, 10 were commercial. There were 2 enterprise zone discounts totaling just under 8,000. We have 13 cases closed, 13 still in progress for property maintenance. Some of the projects we're working on is an expansion of the Welch Brothers out on Town Hall in Morium, a project for Central Grain, the Dutch Brothers Coffee Restaurant, the wellness clinic for the school district is under construction, along with the roofs going up over the Park District's ice rink. Rush Power, we're in talks with the second phase of Belvedere Products out on Newburgh Road about it, I believe annexing into the city. And that'll conclude my report.
All righty, does anybody have any questions for Director Countryman? Feel free to ask. All right, hearing none. Thank you, Kip. Appreciate it. Item B, Planning Department update. Ms. Delrose, good evening.
Good evening. Cases are definitely starting to pick up from that 4-month hiatus I had. So there's 4 in April. There's 2 having public hearings tomorrow. The variance only goes to Plant Commission, but the Central Grain special use will move forward. I did get 3 special uses submitted today and talked to an individual that will be submitting another special use first thing in the morning. So next month's agenda will be quite packed. Site plan reviews are picking up, all for the ones that Kip discussed. Zoning letters are pretty standard. Historic Preservation's working on some things. They did award 2 property maintenance grants for a total of $3,000 to help with new doors and windows for some buildings, so that'll be good. Heritage Days, I was locked out of the Facebook page. I finally got in. So we'll start moving forward on getting different applications out there, getting the schedules and everything. Have put an ad in the shopper, getting the final contract secured. So that's moving along. Lots of scanning for departments. I will say the recorder's office now has their own scanner. So those numbers will be dropping off since they will be able to do their own scanning now. Sent out facade grant letters, have already been getting phone calls back on that. Attended various meetings, ribbon cuttings, items like that. Also, based on the sheer volume of phone calls and emails, I expect the summer to be very busy for construction reasons, so stay tuned on that. And I do want to thank Mayor Morris, Belvedere Fire Department, Belvedere Police Department for their assistance with the Zonta Luncheon. We did raise enough money to award 4 scholarships for students in the county, so that's great.
All right, thank you, Ms. Delrose. Any questions for Gina? Alderwoman Graham-Kowski.
Thank you, Barry. Gina, can you give us an update? Any businesses looking to come into Belvedere? We haven't had an update in a while, seems like.
I don't like to name, some businesses don't want to be named, and others I don't want to jinx it, kind of like we got all excited with Starbucks, you know. But Dutch Brothers is getting ready. There's a coffee shop downtown that I believe will be locating close to Logan Avenue. There's a couple looking to expand. Baskin-Robbins bought the KFC. Off Zay's is going into Taco Bell. So yeah, there's quite a bit of retail and restaurant activity going on. Again, I don't like to jinx it, and I don't like to add to the rumor mill, but yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Alderman Albertini.
Thank you, Mayor. That child care facility out on Pearl, are they doing anything out there? I haven't seen any activity. The grass is growing and nothing seems to be going on out there.
I believe they got their certificates and they're working with the fire department on some changes that the state was requiring. As far as if there's code violations for tall grass and stuff, that would be something to direct to code enforcement.
I wasn't criticized, it's just the fact that it didn't seem like anybody was there was what I was getting at, but
Yeah, there was a notice on the door for those interested with a phone number to call, and I believe they are somehow associated with the daycare center next to the wild chairs in the DMV. So,
all right, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Any other questions for Ms. Rose? All right, thank you, Gina. Appreciate all your help, and the Zonta event is a great event. I know both chiefs enjoy it, as do many other people, but it's nice to see that those seem to increase. That event seems to increase every year, and it has it earns a lot of money for good scholarships and opportunities. So thank you for all your work on that, because I know you put a lot of time in, a lot more than the chief and I did serving. So the chiefs. I don't know that those grapes that I was serving, they weren't very heavy. So. All right. Item C, reappointment of Daniel Druckery to the Belvedere Planning Zoning Commission. In your packet is a memo dated April 20th from myself. The Belvedere Planning and Zoning Commission is comprised of 7 members, each serving a 5-year term. Daniel Druckery is serving a term that expires in May and has agreed to serve another 5-year term ending 2031. He has a long history of serving in the community through various roles. I would request a motion to consent and approve the appointment of Mr. Daniel Druckery to the Belvedere Planning and Zoning Commission for a 5-year term that ends in May of 2031. If I could have a motion to that effect, please. Motion by Alderman Peterson, second by Alderman McGee. Thank you both. Any questions regarding that appointment? I think Dan had put a notice of his interest on the back, on the flip side of this memo. But if there's any questions regarding him or his appointment, I'll certainly try and answer them. He has served as other individuals have, and certainly appreciate his service and everyone's. If there are no other questions, all those in favor of the motion to appoint Mr. Daniel Druckery to the Belvedere Planning and Zoning Commission, please say aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed? Motion passed, thank you. And then also, item D, a reappointment of Arthur Highland to the Belvedere Planning and Zoning Commission. Same thing, a 5-year term. And Art has agreed to serve another 5 years, is serving a term that expires in May, and has agreed to serve another 5-year term ending in 2031. He has a long history as well, serving the community through various roles. I would ask for a motion to consent to and approve the appointment of Mr. Art Highland to the Belvedere Planning Zoning Commission for a 5-year term ending in May 2031. Motion by Alderman Stevens, second by Alderman Hoynes. Thank you both. Any questions, any comments, or I maybe will answer that regarding Mr. Highland. Again, Art Highland, I've known him for many, many years, and Art has done a lot of volunteer work throughout his history here in Belvedere, long history in Belvedere. Quite a nice gentleman, and provides a lot of good help. So it's nice to see him still wanting to participate. I certainly appreciate it. If there's no other comments or questions, all those in favor of the appointment to Mr. Art Highland to the reappointment to the Belvedere Planning and Zoning Commission, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed? And again, on the flip side, is Art's, of that memo, is Art's interest in a reappointment. And then item E, tonight is also a reappointment of Kimberly Coniglio to the Belvedere Historic Preservation Committee. Again, in your packet was a memo dated April 20th, 2026, from myself regarding the reappointment of Kim Coniglio to the Belvedere Historic Preservation Commission. The Belvedere Historic Preservation Commission is comprised of 7 members, each serving a 3-year term. Kimberly Coniglio is serving a term that expires April 30th, 2026. Kimberly Coniglio is currently the acting vice chairman of the commission and has been helpful in organizing events. Ms. Coniglio has agreed to serve another 3-year term, which ending in 2029. I would ask for a motion to consent to and approve the appointment of Ms. Kimberly Coniglio to the Belvedere Historic Preservation Commission for a 3-year term ending in April 30th, 2029. If I could have a motion to that effect. Motion by Alderman Albertini, second by Alderman Hoynes. Thank you both. Any questions, any comments about Ms. Coniglio? Again, is a email to Gina regarding Kim's interest to continue to serve. If there are no other questions or comments about that appointment, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. And then item F, reappointment of Sonia Doberfuel to the Belvedere Historic Preservation Commission. Again, a 3-year term. That term expires ending in 2029. The requested motion to consent to and approve the appointment of Ms. Sonia Doberfuel to the Belvedere Historic Preservation Committee for a 3-year term ending in April 2029. If I could have a motion to that effect. Motion by Alderman Hoynes, second by Alderwoman Frank. Thank you both. Any questions, any comments regarding Sonia's appointment? Feel free to ask, and we'll try and answer them. Again, certainly appreciate all those that serve on the Belvedere Historic Preservation Committee. I guess it's really their interest in the community. They certainly have a passion for it, and I appreciate it, each and every one of them. So, hearing no questions regarding the appointment, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed, motion passed. Thank you. And again, on the back of the memo is Sonia's request. And then item G, in your memo is a in your packet is a memo which is a draft resolution of the City of Belvedere in support of Municipal Housing Authority. If I could have a motion to that effect, please. Motion by Alderman Peterson, second by Alderman Stevens. Thank you both. I drafted this resolution because currently there's some discussion about what the state wants to do as far as bring Springfield into local decisions about our housing, planning, land use, and how we approve property, even our comprehensive plan, I guess, would be in jeopardy. But regardless if it's, if you're a home rule community or not, this would supersede any decision-making that really should be done and always has been by elected officials. And when you take that away, I think what happens is you have individuals that don't live in the community. They don't. They live in Springfield or they work in Springfield, but they try and tell the community essentially what they think is best for the community. And if you're an elected official, and you might as well take your keys and hand them over to those that don't live here or those that think that they have a better idea of what's the makeup of Belvedere or any community in the state. To me, it's very, very disturbing because, believe me, it will change the makeup of a city. And I think what's going on, you're seeing a lot of these individuals that are putting these, the BUILD Act, for instance, that are presenting these, they're out of Chicago. They think it's a good idea, or there's some of the suburbs around Chicago or just outside of Chicago, but to me, the point is if they believe that this is a great thing for their community, then they should run for local office, and then they should set what they think should be good land use, quality planning, and development. But when they think that they're gonna just put a blanket approval that forces every community to do a state mandated, essentially, it's a state mandated planning zoning, you can't challenge it, and that's dangerous. Not every community is the same. There's no community that's the same. Belvedere is different than Rockford, Belvedere is different than Crystal Lake, Chicago's different than any place else, but when you force a one-size-fits-all into a community, you take away local authority, and in my opinion, that's wrong. So with this resolution, I think it shows all the reasons why that's a bad idea, and but I do think those that are pushing for this are out of touch, and I would expect our local state representatives to make sure and they make that point on behalf of us, because, you know, essentially if you put, for instance, apartment buildings, and you build them on, and you cover every bit of lot space, and then you also remove any off-street parking, look at the headache, look at the problems, that may be popular in Chicago or some of these other communities, but look at the problems you're going to have. Not only that, not to mention, you will have, right now, you will have water runoff. They don't have to have any green space. Well, we've just dealt with flooding in this city and some of the communities, but if that local authority or our ordinances are disregarded, not only do we have, a problem with what they're gonna build, but we have a problem what they're gonna create for the community in the future. So it's a bad deal. And by taking the local authority away, I don't know who in the world thought this was a great idea, but it certainly wasn't any of the communities outside of probably Chicago. I think Chicago wants to export. They want to export some of the things that they've done in there that hasn't worked well. It has not worked well there. And I think this bill will now force the whole state to adopt what Springfield thinks, what the legislators think, and that will be a huge thing. So this is a resolution of the City of Belvedere in support of the Municipal Housing Authority, so that we maintain, as we always have, as every community always have. It's common sense. How in the world would somebody know what is good for your community that doesn't even live there? Or somebody that's voting on that's in Springfield. Why would they know more than we do? Or any community does? They don't. And that's the point. But it's heavy-handed, and they have been getting a lot of feedback, but a lot of blowback on it, and they should. So this resolution will, tonight, I'll read it. Whereas the City of Belvedere, the city has a responsibility to promote public health, safety, and general welfare by regulating land use, density, and development standards within the city. And whereas the city recognizes the municipal authority of land use and zoning is a means to address separating incompatible land uses, protecting property values, managing traffic flow, ensuring adequate infrastructure, and guiding orderly community growth. And whereas in 2024, the city updated its comprehensive land use plan in which inputs received from thousands of hours of staff research, public outreach, hearings, and consensus building were utilized to provide for the character of the city desired and deserved by our citizens. And whereas our comprehensive land use plan process has debated and disposed of the measures recently proposed in the legislature that would also centralize all such decisions. And whereas the government and public investment in local planning essential for the continuing community vitality of the city is only possible when the people making these decisions are the ones actually accountable for the results. And whereas maintaining municipal housing authority prevents destructive, ill-informed decisions made by others from outside the local communities that may impede and prevent those entrusted to represent their community and protect their residents' greatest primary assets. And whereas Municipal Housing Authority already possesses the authority to adopt any of the BUILD Act initiatives if local elected officials find them beneficial to adopt in their city. And whereas affordable housing remedies are never going to be supplied by remote levels of big government's intrusion that ignores what government action did to cause the affordability problem in the first place. Whereas usurping Municipal Housing Authority will forever strip the local voters' rights to be heard or to be able to amend in the future housing decisions made by outsiders rather than local municipal authority. And whereas circumventing Municipal Housing Authority violates local residents' trust that they are able to hold their elected officials accountable for housing decisions detrimental to them, preserving voters' rights to enact and amend all local land use decisions is essential to protection of their investment. Whereas support of Municipal Housing Authority wisely recognizes each community is unique throughout the state of Illinois, and those local residents most impacted by land use decisions have always had and must continue to always have the authority for rendering them. Now therefore be it resolved by the City of Belvedere as follows: the foregoing recital shall be and hereby incorporated as findings of fact as if it were true recitals were fully set forth herein. So we have a motion and a second to adopt this resolution. That's the gist of it. The floor is open if anybody wants to make any comments, ask any questions. Alderwoman Frank.
Thank you, Mayor. I read in our IML magazine that Brad Cole fought against this very same measure of them infringing their beliefs of what we should do. And I think he basically said that he lost that battle.
Well, I think Mr. Cole is going to retire, for one thing. I don't know if that has any decisions, any basis for his feeling that he may have lost, but essentially, this will be coming up for a vote. And I think for all of those reasons, Brad Cole and the IML represents all municipalities and cities within the state of Illinois. I think Brad Cole and everybody else recognizes, everybody in this room recognizes that, this decision should always be made by local authority, and it always has. So, yeah, I know IML has stood firm against it, and rightfully so. Alderman Peterson?
Thanks, Mayor. I got a very good email today from State Senator Don DeWitt, and he kind of mirrors what your resolution says. He said that the Senate bills would strip local decision-making with regard to zoning, parking requirements, development standards, and land use planning decision, and paves the way for high-density housing developments in every Illinois town. Even worse, local elected officials won't be able to do anything to stop it. Over the last few months, I've heard from dozens of mayors, county officials, and other municipal leaders who vehemently oppose the plan. And accordingly, he has proposed a Senate Bill 4200, and you'll have to read it later for yourself if you get a chance, but it's an alternative plan designed to allow housing affordability, while protecting local control. And I would add that I think the average citizen in Belvedere that lives from $1 to the next is probably way more concerned about the state of Illinois finding ways to make it more affordable here instead of having the highest property taxes in the nation, second highest gas taxes in the nation. So I think, if the state of Illinois would look at the whole global problem and just saying, instead of, well, we want to do a benefit to the people that want to build multifamily, we got a select portion of the economy that's going to give us campaign contributions. I wish that they would instead try to look out for the average citizen living from $1 to the next.
Well, I certainly would agree with you, and I think, that's why you've always had local control, because there's nobody that knows better on what's beneficial to their municipality or their city. But, you know, what bothers me, and I think you just touched on it, is the fact that who in the world, I would ask, who's deciding that this is a great idea for a state that actually is diminishing in residents? It's not like you have more residents coming here, you have residents leaving. So I don't know I don't know who they're talking about, that they're trying to create housing for individuals, because quite frankly, I was in a meeting in Rockford here not too long ago, and there was a gentleman from Colorado that was there, and pretty much the same thing. He had brought it up. He had said, well, we want the municipalities to provide land, and then we want the services funded, and we want to do this with like 12 by 18 or 16 so-called houses, and I think it was 16 by 20, which to me are just garages. And he was out of Denver, and he thought this was a great idea. And that's a horrible idea. And this is the kind of decision-making that, you know, that doesn't make sense. It's not, believe me, it's not good for communities. I think it is important to remember that, you know, when they tried to do this public housing like that and make laws with it, you might remember Cabrini Green and Robert Taylor homes. You know, those were a disaster. That's when the state had stepped in and tried to put what they called affordable housing in. Well, later on, they tore them all down. But the bottom line is that local authority should have the authority over any special interests. So there's a lot of people that have a deep pocket here. They think that this is a great deal for them, but it affects every resident, and it affects every decision maker that's elected. You know, if you're elected, people say to you, well, what did you do that for? Well, you ought to be held accountable. But if you don't have the ability to make the decision, and they tell you the decision you have to make, well, then is that right? Of course not. It's terrible. And only in Illinois that I know of would they do that. Even when you look at like New York and California, the northern part of California certainly isn't affected by the same, what they're trying to do here in Illinois across the whole state. The northern part of California doesn't fall under the auspices of the Southern California where you have that, and New York City's the same way. So I don't know what in the world they're trying to do, but I think what they are going to do, what they will accomplish, is they will destroy any decision-making that affects the quality of life for every resident and every citizen in Belvedere. And if we don't at least be heard on this, that's, I think, what you're going to see, and it's inexcusable. So, if there's any other comments, Alderman Albertini.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, again, it's the same thing I've been saying time and time again. It's the deep pockets of the lobbyists that are running the government, not the government. And I'm getting a little frustrated myself with it. I think the politicians should be running the government, not the lobbyists. And I think this is where this is coming from.
Well, I think also keep in mind the politicians are the ones that ultimately make the decision. So, you know, if you are a special interest and you donate, or you are able to convince your politician that this is a good deal, ultimately they cast the vote. Ultimately, they're the ones that are going to vote on this stuff. And I believe that they need to be held accountable for it. And but I don't disagree with you that everybody, certainly everybody that's a lobbyist wants to make a dollar, but ultimately the decision-making, which used to rest, which hopefully continues to rest in your local authority, where if individuals don't like it, they can remove you. And they should remove you. But in the state, when you're that far detached from decisions that are made by state elected officials that are so sweeping, they're not affected by it. And that's the problem. That is the problem. And, you know, that should not be, that's not the way it should work. Any other comments, any other questions? I guess with me, I am on my soapbox about this because I don't really care what party you're from. And I think it's a terrible decision. It's going to affect a lot of communities. You're going to take away their decision-making, and what's left behind, everybody that is in office are going to be held accountable, and the residents are going to be angry, and they should be angry, but they should also know what's going on. and how this got started. So this is something that started at the state, at Springfield, and now it's finally trickling down to legislation or to a statute. And I think we need to be heard on it. Any other comments? Any other questions? All right, we have that resolution. All those in favor, if there's no other comments, all those in favor of the resolution of the City of Belvedere in support of Municipal Housing Authority, please say aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed? Motion passed. Thank you, and thank you for your time this evening. I just think that's something that'll sneak up on everybody. Nobody will even know it. Nobody even knows. Nobody even knows that this is being proposed, but we do now. Public Works unfinished business, we have none. Item 4, Public Works new business, Public Works Department update. Director Anderson, good evening.
Good evening, thank you, Your Honor. On your desk tonight is the results of the latest survey that City of Genoa puts together every year on water and sewer rates. They released this in the end of March, so I don't think it's made it to you guys yet, but it is here in front of you tonight. So take a look at that. Again, results show Belvedere in last place, which in this case, last place is an excellent place to be. And I'll just add that I know we're talking about a rate increase, and we've got a second reading of the ordinance coming up next Monday night for council consideration. And even if you put that rate increase in there, which brings our monthly bill to $52.62, so that still leaves us in last place, which again is a very good place to be in this day and age. So that's all I have for an update tonight. If there's any questions on any of our projects or anything else going on.
All righty. Thank you, Director. Alderwoman Gramkowski.
Thank you, Mayor. Do you have a well update? Where are we with the wells?
So well number 5 is back online and pumping water. So that was good. The repairs on that, I think it was like 115 or 120,000, somewhere in that ballpark. You'll see that on your bills payable upcoming, but that one is back online. Well number 7, they've got I think 4 sticks in the grounds, which means the pump assembly and 4 sticks of pipe are in the ground, and that should be pumping water by Thursday. And once they do that, then they got to pump to waste, clean it up. So hopefully it'll be back online. Thursday, so probably by Monday. Hopefully it'll be back online. And that one we did the original cost estimate that we had for that did not include new wire. When they came back to hook it up to put it back in the ground, there was moisture dripping from the wire. They have no idea where it came from, or couldn't figure it out, but there was, again, moisture dripping from the wire, so we ended up putting new wire on just to be safe and sound. So new wire cost for that depth, it's around 15 to 20,000, I think, for wire these days for costs. So we're going to be a little bit above 200,000, I think, on that repair with that included. But good news is it will be pumping water again first of next week. And well number 3, I think the walls are up. The block walls and stuff are going up on the building itself, and we're still online for fall. Hopefully by November 1st, it'll be online and pumping water. I'm sorry, well number 11.
Thank you. Alderman Peterson.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a top of your head answer, Brent. Once Stellantis is back online, as historical usage resumes with them, do you anticipate, what do you anticipate would be the difference for the average monthly, that $52 a month? Is that going to make much of an impact if there's another large-scale user that comes online again?
Yes, if Stellantis comes back in line, and when they were anywhere from when they were offline, depending on if they were running full shifts, half shifts. With what's being proposed, I would expect to see probably a 20% increase in revenues. And especially then once Walmart comes up on the distribution side and that gets full operation, and they're talking about perhaps closer to 900 employees. So again, that'd be probably a 10% increase at least on there. So those things are looking good, and yeah, any more of the manufacturing stuff that we can generate certainly makes it better for all of our users.
And then that would be the impact on the fixed costs, right? So the fixed cost component that the residential user would have, would you anticipate those would be reduced by the fixed costs that Stellantis ads in Walmart or no?
Well, overall, it's not going to reduce, it'll make the future rate increases perhaps less because our plant is of size and we can increase user amount without doing expansion on the production capacity that we have. Eventually it'll lead to that, which is why we have the connection fees to help offset those costs going forward. So the fact that we have more usage, because we lost those users when Stellantis shut down, we still have the same number of wells. We're just not pumping as much, but we're still have the property, still have to maintain, still have to keep them in operating order and so forth. So from that standpoint, it's not a one-to-one direct. The fact that we will bring them back on and we have the capacity available to serve them works out better for everybody.
Thank you. Any other questions for Director Anderson? All right, thank you, Brent. Item B, notice of funding, FRA Railroad Crossing Elimination Program. Director Anderson?
Memo in your packet, again, in anticipation of the Stellantis opening back up. The U.S. Department of Transportation has issued a notice of funding opportunity for their 2026 FRA Grade Crossing Elimination Program. I think this was discussed at our last, when we talked about the last grant application. This would be part 2 or phase 2 of what we're applying for. The current cost estimate, as we've talked before, to complete the design and engineering portion of that grade separation on Appleton is $3.5 million. The grant applications are due by 5 p.m. on June 8th, 2026. Attached to the memo is a proposal from Hampton Lands Indian Renwick in the amount of $3,600 to complete the grant application for the Phase 2 design engineering. The work will include an updated cost estimate for the construction of this project, and I would recommend approval of the proposal from HLR in the amount not to exceed $3,600 to complete the FRA Railroad Crossing Elimination Program grant application for the Appleton Road Grade Separation Project, and this work will be paid for from line item 41-5-110-8025.
All right, if I could have a motion to that effect, please. Motion by Alderman Peterson, second by Alderwoman Gramkowski. Thank you both. Any questions regarding the motion on the floor? Feel free to ask. I think Alderman Peterson had brought this question up maybe a few weeks ago regarding this exact funding and how we would proceed to chase that. That's our next step. The hinge pin with grade crossing is obviously Stellantis reopening. Stellantis reopens, you have that train freight traffic, and certainly makes a stronger case for it. I think people that have been in Belvedere for a long time can see that the traffic has increased dramatically, just all over in Belvedere in the community, but Appleton Road is no different. Hopefully that, as we proceed, we can get all the engineering and then get in line for the construction funding. And certainly won't be overnight, but it'll at least make the case as we grow that somebody at least had some transportation planning sense here to be able to deal with our growth. So I'm optimistic. All right, we have a motion on the floor then to approve Hampton Lands Indian Renwick with the amount not to exceed $3,600 for the FRA Railroad Crossing Elimination Program grant application on Appleton Road. If there's no other comments, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
If there are any opposed. All right, motion passed, thank you. And in your packet was a memo from Director Anderson dated 5/6/26 regarding parking lot 7 expansion and enhancement, grant projects, material testing. Director Anderson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Memo in your packet, the City of Belvedere has received a proposal from Testing Service Corporation to complete the required material testing for the reconstruction of municipal parking lot number 7 in the amount of $22,750. The material testing will include bituminous hot mix and concrete. I would recommend approval of the proposal from Testing Service Corporation in the amount of $22,750 to complete material testing for the parking lot 7 expansion and enhancement project. This work will be paid for from grant funds and capital funds. And we've done this over the years. It's been done both included with engineering costs, and it's been on our own for the direct contract. Lately, the last 2 projects, New Well 11 is a contract between, in this case, Testing Service Corporation and ourselves on that one, and we're looking to go the same route this way. It avoids, sometimes the engineers will mark it up a certain percentage just because they have to administer part of it, but this way, if it's sent directly, contract between us and the city, we avoid that markup, so it's a little bit cheaper for us.
All right, with that being said, if I could have a motion to that effect, please. Motion by Alderman Hoynes, second by Alderman Montalbano. Thank you both. Any questions regarding that motion on the floor? It's open. Floor is open. Feel free. Alderman Stevens.
So basically, when they throw down the blacktop and the concrete, these people take a sample and then test it, is what we're talking about?
Yes, it's for both physical samples there and also doing the plant inspections and making sure that everything at the plant's operating where it's supposed to be and meeting all the requirements. Because in this case, as you recall, we have both federal funding and IDOT funding. So it's the level of inspection and reporting is doubled at least because of the federal funds involved. So, yeah. So they do it both in place on site as well as the production facilities for both concrete and asphalt.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for Director Anderson regarding this motion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
If there are any opposed? All right. Motion passed, thank you. Item D, purchase of wheeled excavator at the street department. In your packet is a memo from Assistant Director Jordan Keck dated 5/6/26 regarding the purchase of wheeled excavator at the street department. Good evening, Jordan.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. The Streets Department's FY '27 budget includes $350,000 for a new wheeled excavator to replace our 1999 Komatsu. We have received the following proposal for a new wheeled excavator through Sourcewell Cooperative Contract 011723-JDC. So just a little background for you guys. Sourcewell is a pre-awarded purchasing contract that meets the state's bidding requirements. So essentially, it does the heavy lifting by vetting vendors and establishing national contracts. So then if you look at the attachment in your packet, you can see that the list price on the machine alone is $452,454. So comparing that to the price we have there. So after stating all this, I would recommend the purchase of the 2026 John Deere 190G FT4 excavator from Westside Tractor Sales in the amount of $345,532.85, including the trade-in of our 1999 Komatsu excavator. This equipment will be paid for from capital funds.
Okay, thank you. If I could have a motion to that effect. Motion by Alderman Montalbano, second by Alderman Hoynes. Thank you both. Any questions, any comments regarding the motion on the floor? Feel free to ask. I think we keep in mind that we're going to replace a 1999, and everything, all good things come to an end. Alderman Peterson?
I was gonna ask, and then I think Jordan answered it. That included the offset for the Komatsu then, right? That includes, okay.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, any comments? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion on the floor will please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed? Motion passed, thank you. And item E, purchase of the mini excavator. In your At the street department in your packet was a memo from Assistant Director Keck, dated 5/6 of '26 regarding a purchase of a mini excavator, again at the street department. Jordan?
Thank you again, Mayor. The street department's FY '27 budget includes $150,000 for a new mini excavator to replace our 2004 Vermeer Mini. We have received the following proposal for a new mini excavator through Sourcewell Cooperative Contract 011723-JDC. And again, I want to point out that this machine has a 27% discount off of the list price through the Sourcewell contract. So after saying that, I would recommend the purchase of the 2026 John Deere 60P mini excavator from Westside Tractor Sales in the amount of $140,446.49. This equipment will be paid for from capital funds.
All right, if I could get a motion to that effect, please. Motion by Alderman Hoynes, second by Alderman Stevens. Thank you both. Any questions, any comments regarding the motion on the floor? Feel free to ask. Alderman Montalbano, good evening.
Are we keeping the old one? We don't have a trade-in on this one.
No, we do not have a trade-in on this one, and then we will go and may auction it at some point and go through the disposal process.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding the motion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed, motion passed. Thank you, Assistant Director. Item 5, other unfinished business, we have none. Item 6, other new business. Item A, executive session. I would like to go into executive session pursuant to Section 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act to discuss appointment, employment, and compensation of a specific employee. If I could have a motion to go into executive session, motion by Alderman Stevens, second by Alderman Peterson. Thank you both. All those in favor to go into executive session will, when their name is called, answer aye. Any opposed, nay. As the clerk calls the roll, please.
Albertini?
Aye.
Brereton?
Aye.
Flurry? Frank?
Aye.
Gramkowski?
Aye.
Hoynes?
Aye.
McGee?
Aye.
Montalbano?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye.
Stevens?
Aye.
9 in favor.
Okay, motion passed. We'll just give us a few minutes here. Everybody that's not involved